I could be free. I wouldn't have to hold resentments. I wouldn't have to be unforgiving. I wouldn't have to just be always, every time I see him, just grit my teeth and smile and say, how are you doing, brother, sister? Oh, isn't the Lord good? And we're struggling and fighting through it. God doesn't want actors. And you and I don't have the power to be what he wants us to be. It's only Christ in us that can do that. But you know what? What you've got going on here is a contest of wills. You got God's will on the one hand, that we should yield and be the kind of person that he wants us to be controlled by love and joy and peace and patience and all these other virtues that they're not just abstract virtues. This is what he is. This is the expression. These are descriptions of his character as they relate to different kinds of needs. And God is seeking to bring us in every circumstance to a simple conclusion. And that's just surrender. Lord, I give up my way in this. Okay, Lord, we'll do it your way. How many know what I'm talking about? You've fought and you've struggled, and sometimes it's gone on for days, weeks, sometimes years, until you finally, okay, Lord, I'm done here. My way is not working. I surrender. Or sometimes you go back and you pick it up again and you go around the mountain again. But you see what's going on? There's a contest of wills here. It's that selfish nature of ours just struggling to assert itself. And these are believers he's talking to here. Let's get real. This affects us. We're not plaster saints here. We're needy people. We love the Lord, but we got growing to do. And it just doesn't work for us to suppose that we have reached a point of spirituality where we can just sort of coast along and just wait for Jesus to come, expect everybody else to arrive at our great spiritual level. If you think that way, you're headed for a fall. And God's going to orchestrate it, not because he hates you, but because he loves you, wants you to deliver you from some of that stuff. You do not have because you do not ask God. And of course, then he goes on and says, when you do ask, okay, yeah, I'm supposed to ask God. I forgot about that. Lord, I got all embroiled in this situation. I'm supposed to be talking to you about this. Okay. But he says, when you do ask, you do not receive. And why is that? I thought when we prayed, God is supposed to answer our prayers. Because you ask with wrong motives. It's still your prayer, even though you're going through the form of coming to God with something, your motivation is still coming out of self. Lord, it's the way I want things to be. God, smooth my path, fix my way, get the obstructions out of my... Lord, I'm tired of this. I don't want this to happen anymore. God, just come and smooth things out for me. Boy, I can't think of anything worse God could do for any of us. And just to remove all the obstacles from our lives. We would settle in and just be fat and sassy and think we were doing great. And we'd just be little babies. And you know how much patience and selflessness a baby has? They want when they want what they want. They want it now. Thank you. And they're very much focused on the moment. But that's our problem. We need to step back and remember what God is doing. This is called salvation. It didn't just happen in a moment and then it's done. This is a lifelong process. God is changing us. And we have a God who orchestrates our circumstances to fulfill not our plans, not our dreams and desires. He's not our Santa Claus. He is absolutely committed to his purpose. Oh, I'm so glad he is, because I'm all over the map here. If he weren't committed, it had never happened. Faithful is he who calls you. My Bible says, faithful is he who calls you, who also will do it. Boy, that's what I need. I need somebody who just stays on the job, who never changes. It doesn't say, okay, let's try something else here. I see this isn't going to work. He is going to be relentlessly working in our lives. And if there is something that has brought out some of this selfish nature of yours, you need to be worshiping God. You need to be repenting. But you need to be saying, Lord, I thank you. You've given me access into your grace. Lord, even when I've messed up, I can come and that blood that flowed from Calvary's cross, it's like a fountain. I can just bathe in that. You can cleanse me from these things, Lord. But God, I don't want to just keep on like that. You've brought me to this place in my journey so that I can see this thing that wants to control me, that wants to make me like something other than what you want me to be. You have orchestrated these circumstances. Help me to listen to you. Help me to humble myself in your hands. Anybody in places like that right now? Yeah, every one of us is, including especially me. We need God, don't we? But I want to be in that place where I'm not constantly saying, God, why did that happen? What in the world is wrong? What did I do now, Lord? 1,001 negative, unbelieving, uncomprehending thoughts that want to rise up in our minds and just kind of accuse God of not being on the job and not being fair and 1,001 things. Now, nobody here would admit to ever having thoughts like that, but you all have. I know because I have, and we're made of the same stuff. But we need to stop listening to the lies of the enemy. Stop listening to and cooperating with this old nature and say, God, I thank you for everything that you bring across my path. Lord, if it brings out something in me that is not like you, then that is the issue. That's the issue. Did you get what I said? The issue is not that. And we are so natured that is the issue. We're like little children. We get our eyes on one thing. That's the only thing in the entire universe that matters. I want that. We can see ourselves as little kids if we'll look close. Because we've learned how to civilize it a little, but we aren't really any different. But God will author every circumstance in our lives to change us, to bring us face to face with who we are and what we are. And therefore, we are faced with choices, aren't we? What am I going to do? Am I going to cling to my way, or am I going to surrender to your way? That's the issue. But listen to how serious this is. Verse 4, you adulterous people. What do you mean I'm not an adulterer? Let's hear what he's saying. Don't you know? Don't you understand this? Don't you get it? Don't you know that friendship with the world is hatred toward God? You got two very different kingdoms, two very different ways of life going on here. You've got a kingdom of darkness devoted to sin, devoted to rebellion, devoted to destruction, devoted to corruption, devoted to every evil thing you see going on in this world.